Hi there and welcome to the first video from Boxroom Office, a site and channel for anyone working from home, working remotely or starting their own business. This is just a quick video to help you make some important decisions when it comes to buying a new computer. It's not a technical video. There's plenty of that info on the site and I'll provide you with a link to that later on. The aim of this video is to give you a couple of simple tips that you can follow to stop you making bad purchasing decisions. To basically avoid something called buyer's remorse. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to look at 4 different tips. Each of these are designed to make sure that you don't blow your budget on a computer you don't need, that you do not get scammed, and that you provide yourself with some level of future proofing when it comes to your new computer. So tip number 1, set a budget. This is probably the most important piece of advice I can give anybody purchasing a new computer, because it's all too easy to get caught up in the shiny new object syndrome and to spend way more money than you planned on spending in the first place. So establishing a budget that you stick to is really important. You can allow a little bit of leeway or kind of slack in it. So maybe if you have a budget of $800, that you can allow up to $880, like an extra 10%, but not that you're going to just automatically double your budget just because you see something that you think you need or that you like, or it's an impulse buy situation, or you're dealing with a particularly slick salesperson who has managed to talk you into spending more money than you'd planned. So the first part of setting a budget is you need to avoid finance deals. Finance deals seem like a really good idea until you look at the interest rates involved. So that $1,000 computer at the end of the finance deal winds up costing you like $2,500, which is insane. Finance deals might seem like an easy way to make your budget go further and to offset the immediate cost of buying a new computer, but they're very rarely a good idea. It's also important to buy with the future in mind. So in the same breath that you don't want to spend more than you need to, you also need to avoid spending far less than you'd planned on. And what I mean by that is, we take the same example again of like an $800 budget, that you don't decide, well, I'll get away with spending $400 and it's not good enough for what I need it for, but it'll do for now. That's an okay approach to take within reason, but there's no point in cutting off your nose to spite your face, as they say. So in as much as possible, make sure that your budget covers not just your immediate needs right now, but your needs for 6 and 12 months down the road. And there are ways around that. A couple of $100 or euros or pounds actually gives you an awful lot of spending power. You might not just need to use a little bit of lateral thinking when it comes to it. And most importantly, if it walks like a dog and barks like a dog, it's most likely a dog. And what I mean by that is that if you're presented with a deal that seems too good to be true, it is too good to be true every single time, and without exception. There are no manufacturers on this planet who are out to do you a favor. So if you come across a system that is ridiculously low priced and just seems like an unbelievable offer, you need to stop and ask yourself some serious questions about why that is. Okay, tip number 2, buy what you need, not what you want. And there's a huge difference between this. So what you need would be, for example, a computer that is ideal for web browsing, email, YouTube, maybe watching movies on, hooking up to your Netflix account. What you want is probably the very best system, the most expensive system on display, because that's human nature. We want the better things in life, especially if you're working really hard. You don't want to go out and have to stick to a budget, because budgets are boring, but budgets are also what stop you getting yourself into financial difficulty. So what you want is the luxury item. What you need is functionality, and you need something that's not going to break the bank. And to get around this hurdle, what you need to do is be honest about the purpose you need the computer for. So again, if you need it just for web browsing, word processing, email, basic kind of day-to-day household tasks, don't go and spend $2,000 and $3,000, because you just don't need a high-end system for that. Something else to be really aware of is sales pitches, and the guy in the picture is a perfect example of it. It's worth remembering that salespeople are paid a minimum wage, an hourly rate, and then they're paid commission on top of that. So the more they can sell you, the more that they make, even if they say otherwise. And I can say that based on my own background in sales. You need to be very pragmatic when it comes down to it in terms of making a sensible choice. And buying what you need, like I said earlier on, you can make a small budget go quite a long way. And a really simple way of doing that is to look at last year's model. We're in 2018, heading into 2019 now. Look at the 2017 model. It's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not the current model, and it's probably half the price of the current model, and it will do the job just fine. Another option here is to look at refurbished computers, both laptop and desktop computers. Refurbished models will be like ex-government or ex-office stock. They've barely been used, they've been maintained, they've never had any junk software on them, they've never had viruses, but they cost almost nothing, and you can get a perfectly good home office computer or even a household computer for like $150 or $200. I've seen them for less. I've seen ex-government laptop stock for like $100. Now, it won't be the latest and greatest, but it will be more than enough for you to run your business from, or just for general household use. Tip number 3, laptop or desktop. This is a real wants versus needs thing again. It's very easy to get caught up in walking into Starbucks or some other coffee shop and seeing these people with their lovely fancy MacBooks or super duper laptops, and you want one. Do you need one? Yeah, that's a good question. You can answer that by being honest with yourself. Do you need to be mobile? If you're going to spend less time at home than outside the home working, get a laptop, because you're going to need one. If you don't need to be mobile, get a desktop. You can come up with a hybrid option where you combine a well-spec laptop with a second screen and a docking station, which allows you kind of the best of both worlds. But again, all these things come with expense. Keep it simple. If you need to be away from your office, your home office, more often than you need to be in it, get a laptop. If you don't, get a desktop. Tip number 4, power versus functionality. And this, again, goes back to the wants versus needs situation. The only people who really need a super fast computer are either 3D designers or gamers. They will need cutting edge electronics, they need cutting edge processors, they need tons of RAM, they need masses of hard drive space, but that's it. Your average household type person or somebody working from home or a remote worker just doesn't need that amount of power. It's just unnecessary. And if you do feel that you need the absolute best, what you need to do is look at how much extra performance you're getting for your money. So in the vast majority of cases, if you take your budget of $800 for your basic system and you look at the top end system of $1,600, you're thinking it's probably twice as good. The reality is that you get a performance difference of maybe 10% for a price difference of at least 100%. So not really a good trade-off there. And it's a trap that people fall into all the time, that they assume the latest model and the fastest model is going to be twice as fast as what they already have, and it's rarely the case. In fact, when you dig down to the technicalities of it, you can actually find older systems that are better spec that will outperform higher end systems that cost twice as much. But we won't get into that in this video. So just bear in mind that faster is not always better, and even when it comes down to it, there is usually a marginal performance increase, 10%, maybe 20% tops, but like I said, at 100% price difference, and that's not a situation you want to find yourself in. So there we go, 4 tips on what to look for in a new computer and how to go about buying one. Thanks for watching the video. It's my first one, so I've edited it as well as possible, but obviously there's going to be mistakes in there. If you want to dig into all the technical information on buying home office computers and stuff like that, and the types of processors and RAM and hard drives and all the other stuff, that's all included in a really in-depth blog post I've included on the site, and you can get there by go to boxroomoffice.com and scroll down to the bottom of the page, and it's the first article on the site, or you can just simply copy and paste this URL into your web browser. It's boxroomoffice.com/buying home office computer. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back again with more videos in the near future.